Tory Lanez
Crazy.
gets charged.
Yep.
By LAPD, I want to say. And if you don't know how this can happen, if you do something to somebody, the state can, or the city or whatever, they can pick up the case. So that doesn't mean that Megan Thee Stallion's people are charging him or pressing charges. But the state could be like, yo, this guy is such a bad person that he deserves some kind of punishment.
Right.
And so we're going to pick it up because you're a threat to the general public. Mm-hmm. So what it appears to be is that the city picked up the case and they are now charging him. I don't know if he got arrested, but I'm sure he probably did.
Probably.
And I've heard multiple years, so I'll put the lowest one out there, that he could potentially go to prison for 22 plus years, 22.8 months, 22 years. So what does this say to you guys?
Don't shoot people because you will go to jail.
That part.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you guys have any faith in the justice system? Any. And what I mean, when I say any, I mean 10%. You don't, Sam?
It's dwindling. Especially like as a woman. I've just heard so many people that are like getting like friends of mine that are, for example, like, oh, I was, walking in a Ralph's parking lot. It was 3:00 in the afternoon and this guy was following me. And the last thing they wanted to do was call the police. And like the first thing that, if I was to tell you the story, you would be like, well, why don't you call the police? And you don't think that because we were talking the other day and you're like, the police they don't come until like an hour, depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
So it's like in that time, I'm already abducted. So
abducted.
Yeah, I'm already in a white van somewhere.
This went up rather quickly.
I'm getting right to it.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's why I'm like, my faith in the justice system is slowly declining.
What about you?
I don't at all.
You don't have any faith in it?
No. I have faith that they're going to do what they've done, which is not necessarily serve justice.
So you think, I asked this question to say, do you think he's going to get off?
Yeah, probably.
Oh.
Depends.
Yeah.
Shoot in LA County.
He shot her in the hills, Hollywood Hills.
If you shoot at all, you can get charged. So.
Yep.
LA County District Attorney charged him with assault with a semi-automatic firearm, personal use of a firearm, and carrying a loaded, unregistered firearm in a vehicle. In addition, he faces a gun allegation and a charge that he personally inflicted great bodily injury. So more than likely,
He's probably going to do some time.
do a little, but
So I have a kind of...
I bet you it'll be because he had the unregistered firearm.
Yeah, I was like, that
over
kinda
the actual
stands out.
shooting.
I have an interesting relationship with the justice system, and I think it's because I did jury duty. I did jury duty once for a quadruple murder,
Oh man.
and I went for like a week, maybe a week and some change, and I eventually had to get off because I was having a great time, but
Were you sequestered? Is that the word?
no. You're talking about like where I can't even be seeing all y'all and whatnot.
Right,
No.
yeah.
But I had to get off. I had to find a way to get off because my job at the time where Chris and I worked, they were like, we don't want you to be there. And they can't, I guess they can't legally say we're not going to pay you, but they can kind of threaten you a little bit to say like, find a way to not be there. Does that make sense?
They
Yeah.
kept saying you only have so many days.
Yeah, so many days. We are only going to pay you like $20 or whatever. Like, there's all kinds of little loopholes. But in my first day, the judge explained to everybody the idea of the justice system, and then he explained how it's all how it actually happens.
Right.
So there's an idea, and then there's what happens, and they're not always the same thing. So when I listened to that, he explained it in such a magnificent way, and he read all different parts of different articles, and it really opened my eyes to understanding what the quote unquote justice system is, and what are the rules and all this stuff. And I thought it was actually really genius. I thought it was very, very smart. But because somebody can create a rope, that means that you can create a loop. And at all points in time, somebody could take advantage of something that is within the rules, whether it is beneficial for you or something that is not beneficial for you. So that's where we are in this place where what is written and what is done is not always hand in hand. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
So when they were doing that case, and I don't know if I really am allowed to talk about it, but I will. He was guilty. So the lawyers were playing it a certain angle to say he was on drugs, he was this, he was that. They would ask you very specific questions to make you like answer a way that made you think slightly differently. Oh man, it was so fascinating. I had a great time. Like, I wish I was able to do the entire thing, but the case was 6 months long.
Whoa.
Yeah, the case was 6 months long, and when I told our old boss, he was just like, take another day and you're like not gonna have a job. Jesus. And I was just like,
he wasn't the coolest of people.
I was like, dude, I'm doing my civic duty.
You just wanted to be there.
No, when I tell you it was so fascinating, I didn't understand what everybody was like, I don't want to be here. I was like, dude, there's a guy here who killed 4 people. This is like beyond fascinating.
Yeah.
To hear the lawyers, how they talk. And some of it is very television-y, where they talk and the judge is like, hey, whatever the judge says, like, order in the court, and, he pretty much is saying, shut your ass up.
The defense is wrong.
Yeah, and they would ask questions like, let's say they brought you up to the stand and say, so do you have a family member that's ever done drugs? And the judge would be like, hey, can't ask that question, And it's so amazing. So, I have a little bit of like, I'm half and half, where you just don't know. I feel like there are certain courtrooms you can walk into and what the rules are and what happens makes sense. Mm-hmm. And then there's other courtrooms where perhaps there's a different type of lawyer or a different type of judge or a different, where now the rules is like, well, I'm going to bend them till they're almost broken. They're not broken, but they're just bendable. And that's why I say I'm kind of somewhere 50-50 in there. Now, to tell you guys a story, how I got out, I'll tell you. They ask everybody if you believe in the death penalty. Because you he's guilty. Mm-hmm. They were barely playing the he didn't do it role. But it was very obvious from the beginning that you have to believe in the death penalty, or you have to be open to it. And they give you a packet of about 125 pages that asks you the same question in 15 different ways, over and over and over, to see if your answer changes. So, dude from the job was like, get out now. And I was like, damn, man, I know how to answer all these questions to be here for the next 6 months. And so I decided, I was like, okay, I'm gonna lie. So I go in there, and you could tell everybody knew what to do. Mm. Do you believe in the death penalty? No, you cannot kill somebody. That's God's job. But he had told me,
your boss.
Yeah, my boss had told me to do this after I responded on my sheets, my 150 sheets. So I had to find a way to lie. Mm. And I I believe on the sheet, when they came up to me and they asked you questions in front of the killer.
What? Really?
Yeah, he can look at you and imagine this. He's like a 400-pound Filipino guy, tatted from the tip of his head to his toes. I'm talking about he has tattoos under his eyes, everything. He's like the scariest guy. He did not crack a smile, not once. And I was like, I'll make this guy laugh.
That was your objective?
That was one of my objectives. So I went up to the stand, started asking me questions. Hey, so has anybody in your family been attacked? Hey, blah, blah, blah. And I answered everything perfectly. The lawyers were like, yes, we got somebody. And I was like, I'm about to throw a wrench into this. I am. And so they were like, what do you think about the death penalty? And it was clear. One side, which I guess was the state, wanted you to say yes. And the defendant or the murderer, they wanted you to say no. Mm-hmm. His lawyers wanted you to say, I do not believe in it. But my paper said, I believe in it.
Yeah.
Or I do. It was the opposite. So my paper said, I do not believe in it. And so they look at you and they say, so tell me, what do you think about the death penalty? And I look at the guy and I kind of smile at him and I go, they should kill him. And everybody went, and I went, yeah, he kills 4 people. We should just make it 5. And everybody was like, he was answering so perfectly. 1 second, Judge. What do you think? You know, because on this page 104, it says right here that you're you like life in prison. You said that right here, and I said, yeah, I said that when I wrote it, but now I just feel like that's expensive, and I pay taxes, and I don't want to keep this guy alive. He killed 4 people, so pow. And the guy looks at me and he starts chuckling.
Oh my God.
He's just like, huh.
It's like, I found my 5th person.
Yeah. He just starts chuckling and he's like nodding his head. And then like, do you want to say anything else? I was like, I guess not really. But I mean, for the most part, this is where I stand. I think the trial should be pretty much done. And I'm okay with you if he dies. Put him in the chair, needle, whatever. And he starts laughing. Like he went from chuckling to like full on laughter, and the judge had to bang his gavel. Hey, relax.
The judge was Bugs
ever.
Bunny.
Yeah. Hey, you can't do that.
Hey, relax. Okay, this is the court of law. You know, and that's when they were like, "All right, you got to get on out of here, buddy.
Go back to work."
Yeah, go back to your little $9 an hour job." But
980.
$980. I got a raise. It was $990.
He must be nice.
So to relate this back to Tory Lanez, because I relate things with microfibers. I feel like he is probably going to get Tekashi 6ix9ine. They're going to put him in there for like a year, and then they're going to deport him back to Canada, and that's about it.
I agree. He's not staying in there for 20 years.
Does he deserve 20 years for shooting a girl in the foot? When Chris Brown got nothing? Not to say that I know everything about the Chris Brown case. But
Yeah.
20 years. If you were the judge, would you give somebody shot in the foot 20 years?
I mean, is it the body part that like we're going off of? Because if it was her chest,
Yeah, but that's a different body part.
that's what I'm asking. Like,
I'm just saying the possibility of death. Because what I'm hearing is, and if you could see from her photos, it sounds like he shot the floor and the bullet ricocheted off the ground into her foot. Mm-hmm. So, is that 20 years?
I don't know.
That's rough, huh?
I don't know. I think the moment you pull a trigger,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's pull a trigger 20 years, but it could have ricocheted and hit her in the chest. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
The reason you pulled the trigger in the first place.
Yeah, why did you shoot?
Could have been a warning, not a warning, but if you understand what I'm saying, like a
It's
shoot
hard
at the
to argue
ground.
that. Very hard to argue. Hey, he wasn't actually going to do it.
Okay, this is actually kind of fun. It could be a warning because Meg Thee Stallion about 7'8".
Go ahead. Go ahead. Argue this one.
Yes,
Tom Kelby.
Let's hear it.
She's not.
Let's hear it.
She's not that hard to
kicked him
miss.
so hard.
She's not that hard to miss. So that's what I'm saying. Like he could have just shot her. He could have just pulled the gun out and just right there in the back because she was walking away. So he could have technically shot the ground to try and make his point, and then it ricocheted and hit her in the foot.
But he could have also been aiming for her foot. Just as another warning, like, hey,
Could have
next
shot
time
it.
it'll be a
Shot it
little
in the
higher.
air.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Could have shot in the air.
But he didn't.
He could have said, hey,
Exactly.
But now we can only talk about what he did do.
Which is pull the trigger.
Right.
Okay. Does
Towards
pulling the
ground.
trigger mean deadly?
It could have been a slip. ND. Like, how do you feel?
Could have been a slip. That's what Sam says. I'm not going to give him all that much because it.
I mean, to get somebody, I don't know, to generalize, but where are you in your emotions that you are willing to pull out a gun as a warning? You're a fucking man. You were about to leave in your car and you had to shoot a warning?
Mm-hmm.
Like, can't you just fucking leave? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you still pulled out a gun. You still shot it. It wasn't like, I have a gun, I will shoot you, but I'm not actually pulling the trigger. Like, you could show the gun and that could be the warning. That's a big enough warning that I would be like, fuck, okay. You know?
He probably wanted to make her, there's a terminology called tap dancing when you shoot at the floor and then you're like making the people like, oh my gosh, you know?
Yeah.
So perhaps he wanted to take it that one step further and like shoot at the floor to make it seem like I'm being serious. Pow, you know? And then off the ground into her foot in two different places. So I'm just wondering if he did not intend on shooting her to kill her and he was just shooting her to harm her or shooting her to warn her, I guess. That's two different things.
Yeah.
Or three different things. So I would love to know if 20 years or even 10 years for shooting somebody. Because if you guys know who Joel Santana is, he had a gun at the airport and they only gave him 2 years.
Did he shoot anything?
No, but he acted a certain kind of way because he had the gun in his bag and then he ran away.
Because he forgot he had a gun in his
He
bag.
forgot he had the gun in the bag and then he ran away for like 2 days. And then like turned himself in.
Have you watched Atlanta?
Yes.
Such a good episode.
Yes.
Is it about that?
It kind of is.
Kind of. Yeah.
I did that once at the airport. I had a
Chris,
knife
this is not the
that I
place.
forgot. No, not again. It was like a pocket knife, but it was the ones that you like.
Swiss Army?
Queen. No,
Oh.
it was like a basic Benchmade knife, and I forgot I had it in my bag, and I was like in line, in
Fuck.
security, like I was next in line to go through the beep beep thing, and I was like, oh, what's gonna happen? So I saw the recycling bin, and I was like, I don't need this knife anymore. And I left. I was like, I'm gone.
They got this boy on camera. And you saying it now.
Yeah.
They've probably been sitting inside of
Yeah,
Grand
yeah.
Central Station. Who the hell's knife is this? Your arm was covered by somebody walking in the airport.
Yeah.
And now that he said it on the Blackstalgia
They
podcast
gonna
where you can
find
listen
me.
weekly on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
And you know how we do the podcast, Ed.
Look at that.
This address.
A room full of blacks and the Mexican guy is the one who did the
But-
crime.
They can't see him. They don't ever see him.
Man,
So
flip the
it's
camera.
alright.
Yo. Flip the- I just showed him on the gram.
Way to go, bro.
I'm
You
damn
gonna
it.
attack him.
you incriminated me.
Damn, Chris, telling all your secrets.
Yeah, the knife in the bag, and I threw it away secret.
You know what I throw away at the airport? Lotion. Okay.
You always got lotion around you. Shit.
I have dry skin.
Why are you throwing it away?
It was too much.
He didn't get the
It's above
3
It
ounces.
wasn't a travel size.
Put it in your checked bag.
He doesn't check a bag.
Man, I fly Spirit.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.